What are you wearing? Wait, no. Just don't move back. Okay, it's over. Go ahead and move back. Where I was looking, it looked like I couldn't tell. It looked like um, oh, what are those called? An acorn. But then you went back a little bit, and now I see a face.
It's a
So,
Buddha.
oh, wah wah wah.
I'm on theme. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I guess so. That's your golden Buddha.
That's my golden Buddha. And it's appropriate
Perfect.
for today's content. There's
Yes.
words down here.
I wish I would have taken a screenshot when I couldn't see above just the forehead, and we could have posted a poll like, what is that? Hello, everyone. Welcome to class number 20. You guys have reached, that's either 4 or 22 or double piece. Deuces. All right. You guys have reached class number 20.
Wow.
How many of you have been here every single class? I'm curious to see if any of you have been on live every single class. Michelle has a special cash prize for you. Is that okay? Are you willing to email them some cash? No, there won't be any
I thought they were
cash.
going to send me cash. No?
Oh, yeah. You have a special email address for them to send you the cash prize.
Exactly.
Congratulations. You get to pay Michelle. Awesome. Not that I would be expecting any of you to be live every single one, but just out of curiosity. Awesome. Andy says, been here every single one. Several people are saying almost everyone. That's great.
Look at this. Just joined this one. First timer.
Oh, nice. That was going to be one of my next questions, is how many of you are joining us late? Fantastic. Awesome. Well, welcome to class number 20. You only missed, you didn't miss anything. You're right on time. And if you want to go back and watch some of the other courses or some of the other classes, you certainly can. To watch all the replays, you can go to bit.ly/YouTube replays or bit.ly.com/Facebook replays. It's crazy that we got those links on Bitly, but those will take you right to the replays. That'll take you to the playlist of the replays of this. They're the same replays, just whether you want to watch them on YouTube or you want to watch them on Facebook. And we've been doing a lot in these videos. This is the training for coaches, entrepreneurial training. And I'd love to know, how's it been going so far? Not just the training, but specifically the assignments in the content creation challenge, which should trigger Chad in a moment. What challenge?
You see what I just put up?
Yes. What replays? There you go. Nice. And this is all leading up to ESchool for Coaches, Entrepreneur School for Coaches, which is starting March 1st. We've talked a little bit about that through these classes. And if you want more information, you can go to bit.ly.com/ESchool 2022. We don't have all the information up there yet. We'll get all the information, the structure, the dates, and everything all laid out, all the details, probably over the weekend. So over the next few days, we'll get that to you. But there is a bonus of the first 25. There's still a little bit over half of the spots left for that. For those of you that want more information, there's a little bit of information on that page. And if you need more details, stick around. We're going to talk a lot about the details even more next week. And speaking of next week, we got to do more videos. We got to do more videos. When we were talking about what we wanted to share in the entrepreneurial training, just this, not even the course, not the year-long course, just these videos, we knew we were going to do about 20 videos. When we were talking about what we wanted to share, we started bullet pointing a bunch of information. I looked at the list yesterday, and I think there were like 95 bullets just in these 20 free videos. Like, we haven't even looked at what are we all going to put into the program. And so there's just too much that we haven't done yet, you guys. We haven't even talked about yet. So we're going to do more videos next week. We're going to change the time because I don't have this time available next week, but we're committed to doing more videos. So we're doing it 30 minutes earlier, 30 minutes earlier than the one that these have been. Yeah, today was going to be the last video, but we just can't. We just got too much to talk about. And be aware, be prepared when you see the bicycle video. You cannot not miss that one. You can't miss the bicycle video. We're not going to tell you exactly what it is. Just be on the lookout for the video next week. When you see bicycle, that's the one that you got to be there for that video. I'm telling you, it's truly life-changing and transformational. So we are going to give you the third installment of the assignments for the content challenge. Yes. If you haven't seen the other videos, so this whole week, so classes 16 through 20 have been all around content creation. It's one of the most important things for you to do if you want to be a transformational agent of any kind, because we live in a content economy. And so you've got to create content. That doesn't mean you have to create it necessarily the way that other people are creating it or what that label content creator might even mean to you. But you've got to create content because that's what we are consuming in this society that we live in. So don't try to swim against that current and try to, unless you're a salesperson and all you want to do is sell widgets or commodities, then you can just set up sales campaigns. But if you're a transformational person, you want to really, truly change lives, you can only do that with content. You're going to get people's information or attention rather with content. You're going to get them in your conversation with content. You're going to invite them onto phone calls or on webinars or whatever other thing that you're going to teach them with content. Then you're going to teach them content. Then you're going to use content to invite them into coaching packages or buying your programs. Everything is content all along that journey if you want to be a transformational agent. So go back and watch the videos. Even if you already watched them, watch them again. You're always going to capture something that you missed the first time. You can do the assignments again. You'd be surprised what happens if you do the assignments again, just like a week later or a month later. Even if you watch the exact same or videos or read the exact same blog articles, you'd be amazed how new thoughts have formulated because you are a month wiser than when you read the articles. And when you unlock your creativity, that's one of the things that you'll find is that the next week you'll have new thoughts and you're constantly going to be creating new and new and new ideas because you will keep evolving. But when we're stuck and not evolving and not growing, then the only ideas that we currently have are all the ideas that we always had. And there's nothing new and there's no flow and nothing's really coming in and going out from an artistic creative standpoint. So that's one of the things that you'll notice as you continue to unlock your creativity and start teaching a lot more and so forth. So today we are going to give you the third assignment in this content creation challenge. And it's going to be powerful. But before we do that, we're going to talk about feedback. Woo. We've talked about feedback multiple times throughout this whole training series. We might not use that word feedback as much. We've talked about fear of visibility and fear of success and imposter syndrome and fear of failure and fear of rejection. That's all feedback. It's all feedback. And one of the things that's really important on a journey of growth and evolution like this is simplification. So we got to simplify. Rather than teaching you how to overcome imposter syndrome and then teaching you how to overcome perfectionism and then teaching you how to overcome the fear of success and then the fear of rejection and the fear of failure and then the fear of overcoming objections, all that stuff, it's all feedback. I'd rather teach you how to manage feedback because those are just different forms of it. So if you know how to manage feedback, then it doesn't really matter what type it comes in because you're good. You got feedback. And here's the thing. All feedback is internal that you need to be concerned about. All feedback that you need to be concerned about is internal. So we're simplifying it into one single concept of feedback. And we're even simplifying it further by saying, and it's all just inside you. It's you and you. That's it. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter what other people say It only matters how you feel inside, and then the thoughts that are created inside based on all of that stuff. So when you can get to the point where you know how to manage your internal feedback, and we're going to give you an assignment to help you do that today. So make sure you do the assignment. When you can manage the internal feedback, then it actually literally does not matter what they say. Now, we have all kinds of cute memes and phrases and rally cries about not caring what other people say, right? No F's given is one of the things that I hear all the time, right? 0 F's given. I don't care. I don't care what other people say. What other people say is none of my business. Yeah, that's all cute. And how many of you know those memes, but it still matters? And it still matters to some degree to me also. It just matters a lot less.
Yeah.
And it's taken a long time. I don't want to tell the story right now, but I can vividly remember the moment when I realized I crossed a major wall, and it was based on a YouTube comment. Actually, I'll just tell the story. It's not a long story. I get the notifications up on my screen, if any you get those notifications, or on your phone, and you can always see like the first few words, right? So I got a notification and I saw that it was from YouTube. And this is about 3 years ago, I think, when we were just committing to more YouTube videos, and it was a new frontier for me. So I had dealt with feedback in many different areas, but this was a new one. YouTube, I was really wanting to make this work. And so the YouTube comments really got me more than Facebook comments or any other platforms, because I was vulnerable on there, more vulnerable than I'd ever been.
Yeah.
And I saw this comment come in, and it said something like, if you were my life coach, I'd ... right? And it was so compelling that I think I was on a phone call, like on a Zoom call, something like that. But it was so compelling that I opened it. I don't think I read it, but I had to read it as soon as I could.
Right.
And it said, if you were my life coach, I would kill myself. I think that was exactly what it said. You might remember it slightly different, Michelle. You have a memory vault with these things, but that was essentially it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would kill myself. All right. So that's about as bad as it gets, right? That is about as harsh of a comment that I could ever even imagine hearing.
Yeah.
And when I
Pretty
saw
harsh.
it,
I said it's pretty harsh.
Yeah. And when I saw it, instead of wanting to respond back with anger, which is how I would have in the past, I actually responded with compassion. And I engaged the person in a conversation. And that let me know that I had just crossed a major line. Because again, had that happened 6 months ago or a year prior, I could feel it in my body without what I was afraid of hearing. So this is a journey. And there are multiple milestones along that journey that I can tell you about another time. But we've got to get to the point where it actually doesn't matter what they say. That doesn't mean that we'll enjoy people not liking our stuff. It doesn't mean that we'll enjoy the process. But when I say it doesn't matter, it doesn't mean that you don't care what people think. How can you not care what people think and try to change people's lives? That just doesn't make any sense. So you have to care. You got to give a damn about your work and the effect that it has on certain people. That's the key. So it's not that you get to the point where you don't care. It's just that you won't stop. You might care about what other people say, but you're still going to go anyway because somebody else needs that message. That's the place that we can get to. I don't know how to make you not care about other people's feelings toward you. But you can just get to the point where it's not strong enough to stop you. And how do you do that? Because you care about something else more. It's
Correct.
not that you don't care about it. It's that you care about something else more. And then you take direction or you take action rather into that direction of what you care about more. then protect yourself from something that you care about less.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you have several things you want to say. Let me just finish another thought or two.
Go.
If you want to be a transformational agent,
Mm-hmm.
you have to share things that some people will not like. Michelle just inhaled on that one. So I want to hear what you have to say about that. You will share things that some people will not like. Why? Because transformation requires truth, and a lot of people don't like the truth. It's just as simple as that. So if you're willing to share truth, some people won't like it. Some people will tell you they don't like it. Some people will disagree with you, or some people won't respond, which is what we talked about in yesterday's class. But if you want to transform people's lives, if you want to be a transformational agent, you have to share things that will transform people's lives. And part of that is truth, and part of that is conflict. People will never change their lives comfortably and safely. So if your content is comfortable and safe, you can't change anybody's life. And I want to distill this down to a very simple choice for you. And I say this with love and advocacy and 17 years of experience. If you cannot manage your own internal feedback, and all you can share are the things that people won't disapprove of, which means all you can share are things that are safe and comfortable, then you can't change people's lives, because change can't ever happen in safe and comfortable ways. So what does that mean? You either become the essence of a transformational agent, do the internal work, figure out how to manage this internal feedback, do the embodied learning that we've been talking to you about. You become the essence of a transformational agent, so you have the capacity to change lives. Or stop pretending that you're committed to changing people's lives. And if your choice is the second one, that is fine. I'm not saying that with shame. I truly am not saying that with shame. If you're not going to do the capacity work, my suggestion is just don't jump in with the sharks, because you're going to get eaten. You're not going to enjoy it. And the outcome that you want isn't going to happen anyway. So if you don't want to do the work, and by the way, I've had some people say that. I've had some people say, you know what, at this point in my life, or where I want to go, or where my circumstances are right now, I'm not willing to do this work right now. And you know what happened? They got happier.
That's what I wrote down. Happy.
Because they stopped creating frustration about something that they're not willing to do. If you're not willing to do something, that's totally fine. Just stop beating yourself up for doing the thing you're not willing to prepare yourself for. And what actually matters is not what you want, it's what are you willing to prepare yourself for. If you're not willing to prepare yourself for the thing that you want, then you don't really want that thing. Or you might really want it, but you're just simply not willing to do what it takes to get it. And I would rather you just be happy with your life. If that doesn't sit well with you, and maybe it changes the way you think about what you're willing to do, awesome. Then let's buckle up and let's do the work. But you can't create the outcome of a recipe you won't follow. Let me repeat that. You cannot create the outcome of a recipe you won't follow. So what actually matters is, will you follow the recipe? And if you will, you can. If you won't, you can't. And it really, truly is just that simple. Now, there are a lot of marketers out there that will tell you and sell you fantasies that you can create an outcome of a recipe you won't follow, a recipe you don't want to follow. So they'll tell you there's actually this other recipe. And usually the recipe of the fantasy product is to sell the fantasy product to other people that will buy the fantasy product and then sell the fantasy product to the other people down the line. And there's an element of this industry that is a pyramid scheme. I'm not saying the entire industry is. I'm not even going to put a percentage on it, but there is an element of this industry which is pyramid scheme by nature. You sell what you want other people to buy because that's probably what you bought. And then if enough people continue to buy the fantasies, then there's money made. Nobody's lives are getting changed, but there's money made, right? And I don't think any of you want to participate in that. So sign up to do the work. Go ahead, Michelle.
Not even sure where to start. I'm super activated in my body right now. And so if anybody else relates to that, like check in with you and give yourself a breath and allow yourself time to really sit with some of these concepts that were like being fired out right here this morning, because this is everything. The last thing you were saying inside of the statement of just stop doing like, if you don't want to do it, then stop saying that you do. Stop saying that you want to do the thing that you actually don't want to do. That's not a shaming statement. It's advocacy for your happiness. And if it does feel like shame, that is with love and respect and perhaps going to piss you off. If there's shame, that is coming from you, not from us. And that's because we're trying to convince ourselves that we should be feeling or be doing something different than we are feeling or are doing. We want your happiness. And one of the things I've said for a long time is please stop beating yourself up for results you're not getting from work you're not doing. Either change what you're doing or change what it is that you want. Neither one is right. There's not like that's not being said to like, you should change what you want. No, like, or you should change what you're doing. No, you choose. But the two things don't go together. I'm not beating myself up for not being a world-class, NASCAR driver because I'm not doing the work to become a world-class NASCAR driver, right? So inside of this coaching industry, there's so many shoulds. And what we want to help you do through these videos and then inside of eSchool is really tap into what your recipe is so you can get the results that you're wanting to get. And not just when I say results, I mean experience of life. Yes, tangible things, money, clients, whatever it is that you want tangibly, but also the experience of life. And this is a bigger conversation, so I'm just going to say this. We undervalue happiness and we think it comes after the achievement. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's bullshit. It doesn't. It doesn't happen that way. The happiness and the fulfillment come first. I achieved a lot. And I was told, right, by a lot of different people that it would be the thing that would make me happy. And that moment for me was one of the lowest in my life because I recognized that it didn't change anything. So we want you to create a recipe that's going to be like fulfilling and good for you so that you can do the things that you want to do and experience what you want to experience. Now, feedback, that's a real journey for me. And if you watched yesterday's video or you hadn't watched yesterday's video yet, and you do go into the replays, you heard a little bit about my story around feedback. And early on in my journey, friends, as a coach, right, I believed that the 0 Fs that Sean said earlier, that was the goal. Right. That like not caring at all. Like, I don't care what people think. Like I really thought that was the objective. And one of the things that I really recognize is that I do care. So let's stop pretending that. So what people say or feel, it does matter to me. And one of the statements that I came up with for my own self is that I care deeply and I don't give a shit. And when I say I don't give a shit, I mean I don't care as it pertains to my action. Because to share what Sean said earlier, just from my own personal experience, there's somebody out there who needs me more. There's somebody who needs me to do something bigger than this one person that I've gotten so fixated on. Because here's what happens. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday in the Q&A. See how I did that? It was yesterday, not 2 days ago. So I'm doing better. I know my days of the week. So what ends up happening is that you guys right here, right now, where I can see the number of people that are live on this video, if in my head, I'm worried about all the other people who aren't here, who aren't watching, I'm literally turning my back on every single one of you to focus on who's not here. And the same thing happens when somebody does say something that we don't like. We turn our back on all the people that we want to serve to focus in on that one single person. And I did used to have a very deep, so I share this because I want you to know it's possible through this program, being with us for a year, to really be able to unlock this in yourself, because I used to, friends, have a very deep, deep fear of conflict and a very, very deep fear of hurting people. And I was scared if I made somebody mad, it was going to cause a fight or it was going to hurt somebody. And I remember sitting at our 5-day elite coaching certification program for coaches and hearing Sean say what he said to you guys in this video. But what I remember hearing was, you can't be a transformational agent and be afraid of pissing people off. And for me in that moment, it really was what he presented to you. It was a choice point. What am I more committed to? Transformation requires, like, it is a requirement for somebody to be irritated, because we're pushing them outside of what they're comfortable with and into the unknown, right? So comfort is what's already known to them. And so if we're sharing things that just make people feel comfortable all the time, I'm not saying that sometimes you don't do something like that, but if that's all that we're ever doing, then we're just keeping them inside of what's comfortable for them. We're just keeping them in the container that they already know, right? So I do hope that there is a little bit of maybe internal irritation for you, a little bit of like, this is not comfortable for me right now, because we want you to get outside of your comfort zone, because that's where your growth is. That's where your business is. That's where your seekers are. That's where the impact and the income that you want to make, those are not where you are right now, or you probably wouldn't be here watching this video. They're all outside of what's in this space that you're in right now. So here's what I want you to know. When I post something that's a little bit bold, the discomfort is still there. So stop trying to believe that that's all going to go away, because my body is like, ooh, we're pushing people, right? But I've learned through the pacing, through the process, which is what we're going to help you with in eSchool in part, it's not the only thing, is going to pace you through that process so you can get yourself to the place where you maybe feel the discomfort, but it doesn't stop you. You don't love it, but you move with it. And that's what I want for you. And I just share that with you because I want you to know that I wasn't like, this was a journey for me personally. I told you yesterday, I used to take down content that upset anybody. Anybody said anything, or even made an indication that they might be mad at me, took it down, removed it. Can't hurt anybody. Can't upset anybody. Now, I don't go around with the objective to like, I'm like, let's see who I can make angry today. I mean, I do that with Sean, like specifically try to upset him. But outside of him, I don't do that with everybody, right? I share the truth. And if you get disrupted by it, then in my head, what I say to you is, you are welcome. Because I love you enough, I care about you enough to poke a little bit or a lot, depending on our relationship, so that you move toward what it is that you told me you wanted. So you're welcome.
Should I show them some of the text messages? With that support? As supporting evidence?
It goes both ways.
Any questions? So I want to highlight just one thing that Michelle said at the end there. The discomfort is still created. It just doesn't stop us. But if you look at the majority of the learning that we participate in, what are we trying to do? We're trying to decrease the discomfort.
Yep.
So she just put two things. next to each other: comfort and action.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are trying to decrease the comfort so that the action can just walk right over it. Like there's like if we could take the wall and turn it into a speed bump and then get the speed bump to go all the way down to the same level as the asphalt on the path, then we can just walk right over it. What we're saying is you don't need to do anything to the wall because the discomfort has to be there if you want to do this crazy thing called change people's lives.
Right.
So instead of learning how to lower the obstacle called discomfort, learn how to jump over it. And you all have the ability, you have it in your body to jump over the discomfort by caring about something else more.
Right.
Hopefully you really got that visual that she gave you. Like as you're looking at all the other people who might be judging you, you literally are turning your backs on the people that are listening. Maybe they haven't commented yet. We went through all that the last video, but they're listening. Don't turn your backs on the people that you really truly care about and the ones that you are assigned to and the ones that are assigned to you, so you can avoid the judgment of the people you're not assigned to.
Right.
Those aren't your boats. Those aren't your boats.
Yeah.
So we have been conditioned. It's like a stoplight. We've been conditioned by the stoplight of comfort. If something's comfortable, the light is green. If something's uncomfortable, the light is red. And that's fine. You just can't change any lives that way, yours included. So which of those two areas are you going to work on? Are you going to work on decreasing the thing that, number one, can't be decreased, and even if you did, wouldn't matter anyway? So are you going to work on the one that's irrelevant and impossible? Or are you going to work on the one that's powerful and possible? We're conditioned to continue to work on the one that's irrelevant and impossible. Instead of what we're telling you is find that strength inside, the courage that you actually have inside. This is a journey of bravery. This is not a journey of comfort. And bravery requires discomfort, you guys. There's no such thing as doing a brave, comfortable thing. And there's also no such thing as brave leadership. So if you want to be a leader, you must be brave. If you want to be brave, you must move through discomfort. You cannot be a comfortable leader. So that's why so much of what we talk about is about embodiment. How do we get the bravery? How do we find the internal resources? Managing feedback being one of them. How do we find the internal resources to not only feel the discomfort, but actually create the discomfort and keep moving anyway? Now, we never create discomfort just for discomfort's sake. Michelle said probably 10 minutes ago, if you're feeling shame, that's yours. We don't have the ability to impart shame in you. Right. We only have the ability to make sounds with these faces. That's all we have the ability to do. If your body takes those sounds and elicits shame, the shame is in your body. Right. If your body takes the sounds that we make and elicits inspiration, that means the inspiration is in your body.
Correct.
We don't have the ability to put anything inside other people's souls. We only have the ability to make sounds, and their reaction to it is going to be a function of their conditioning, right, their beliefs, right, their identities, everything that's going on inside. So we don't lay the seeds of truth in order to create disruption because we like disruption, but we lay, right, the seeds of truth. And when people get disrupted, we celebrate it because we know that is an active and required ingredient toward transformation. But you can't do any of that without managing your own feedback. That's what this is all about. This is about managing your own feedback. You can't pretend to not care about what other people think and then change lives. Because how do you change lives not caring about what other people think? Huh? What? So step 1 is don't care. Step 2, change lives.
Right.
I mean, some of these concepts that we're conditioned with are actually quite silly when we break them down. We don't say that with shame because, again, I'm just telling you my experience. Michelle's telling you her experience. Once upon a time, we were looking at the front of the steps here, you guys. If you saw the video with the stairs analogy, once upon a time, we're at the bottom of these steps. We're just hopefully trying to teach you from our experience. So with all of that being said, and let us know, as you guys always do, let us know what's really landing for you and engage and interact as much as you can. So with all of that being said, we're going to give you the final assignment here for the content creation challenge. Did you know we were doing a challenge, Michelle?
What challenge?
Yeah, there's a challenge. I know you probably weren't paying attention.
Like a challenge, like working with you, like that kind of challenge. That was good. That was all about
go ahead and high five yourself on that one. Yes.
I'm laughing because I couldn't get it out. Like it would have been better if I let it land more.
Yeah, you just don't have the body for that yet, but that's okay.
Give me an hour.
Do you need a minute though?
No, I'm ready. Yes, okay. Day 3 of the challenge.
Day 3. Well, the third assignment in this 5-day challenge. And this is one about lessons. One of the things that we talked about in one of the earlier videos in the training series is that nobody's looking for you.
Have a good day, you guys.
Have a good day.
Wait. There's more.
No, I need a minute. Nobody's looking for you. We actually expand our influence the more we realize how insignificant we are. Oh. From the ego's standpoint. Right. You know, all of the fears that we have around feedback and approval and all that kind of stuff is us being judged as people. Us being judged, being in the spotlight. What are they going to say about me? I've never heard anybody Chad just threw that angry face and disrupted me. Your face.
We're done. We're here, you guys. We're just gonna need a minute. Please enjoy this break. Oh, we need to get a glass of water or use the restroom.
I actually I didn't read the whole comment until like the third time I read it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Chad is funny.
Your face sounds
angry face.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Ah, Chad.
Oh, I didn't plan on crying this video. And the comedic brilliance too, the callback, the angry face.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Your face sounds made me feel shame. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
So where was I? Where was I? Somewhere around you're not important and nobody's looking for you.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Oh my goodness. Oh. So nobody's looking for you.
Well, and Chantal just said, right, like that dude, right? The first time I heard you say that, I was a little crestfallen, right? Like that, which is definitely valid. And 3 seconds later, I felt liberated.
That right there.
Yeah.
The less significant we realize we are as people from the way that our egos are trying to protect us, the more influence we have.
Right.
because it's not about protecting our ego.
Right.
The fears that we all have are based on preservation of our ego. They're based on keeping us safe. They're based on protecting us from negative feedback or disapproval, all that stuff that we're afraid of. But nobody's looking for you to judge you. They're looking for your lessons. That's where the liberation comes in. Now, you're the one to deliver your lessons. But in all my years, I've never heard anybody say, I'm afraid of teaching people what I know.
Right.
Ever. People are afraid of sales. They're afraid of marketing. They're afraid of Facebook Lives. They're afraid of being pushy. They're afraid of spotlight. They're afraid of public speaking. They're afraid of all these things. Never once have I heard anybody say, I'm afraid of teaching people what I know.
Right.
That's so critical to understand. Because then you're not forcing yourself into the fire with all the things that you're afraid of. You're actually standing in your certainty.
Yes.
And then doing what makes you come alive anyway, which is teaching. So content is nothing more than teaching your lessons. And the more that we can remove the ego's desire to protect, the more we can step into the soul's desire to connect. And understand you cannot protect and connect at the same time.
Right.
And without connection, you can't influence. Without influence, you can't change people's lives. So we've got to drop the protection, which is why we went into this whole conversation that we just planned like 5 minutes before we went live on managing feedback. Because we realized this is the biggest thing that we got to understand. It's about the internal managing of feedback so that we don't show up in protection mode, so that we can show up in connection mode. And then we can truly change people's lives. So this assignment, anything you want to add to that before we get to the assignment?
No, let's give them the assignment.
So this assignment is to capture some lessons from your life. So we want you to look back in your past and come up with 5 significant life events where you learned lessons. Significant just means influential. It doesn't mean good or bad. Just significant life events where you learned lessons. And notice if you find yourself immediately going to the negative stuff or immediately going to the positive stuff, just notice. So much of this embodiment journey is simply about noticing what your body does or what your mind does when certain thoughts come, or, like in this case, somebody says something. So just notice 5 significant life events where you learn lessons. Write down the lessons that you learned. There could be more than one, or there might just be one major one. Michelle and I will share a few so you get some ideas here in a moment. Write down the lessons learned, because we got to get to the other side, right? We got to get to the after the breakthrough content. We want to speak with before the breakthrough language, but we got to have after the breakthrough content. That's where the lessons are, and that's what people are looking for anyway. So what were the lessons that you learned? And it could just be a single statement. It could be a single word, really. But it's just the lessons, right? We don't need the details. You know the story. You don't need the details of the story. But just write it down just for yourself. And then what are the lessons that you learned, okay? And then you're going to pick 2 of those 5 events, just 2 of them. This might be an emotional experience for some of you. This might be an inspiring experience for some of you. If you don't have the capacity, or you just don't have the experience, it's not comfortable for you to look into your past and get lessons from your life, especially with the significant events, then it might be uncomfortable for you. And if so, congratulations. We really honor you doing the uncomfortable work that's going to liberate you. So then you're just going to pick 2 of those sets of lessons and create an outline for those 2 life events plus lessons. Okay. So you're going to start with 5, whittle it down to 2, and then you're going to outline. So when we say outline, just add a little bit of the story, just briefly, and then what are some of the lessons? And if there's a little like sub lessons out of that, or you just explain it a little bit, then you can do that. But again, we're just doing outlines here. Okay. And then here's the real big one that's going to embody this whole conversation for you. Then you're going to pick one and share it. Where you share it depends on who you are and where you are and what you're already used to. I want you to share it one step out of your current comfort zone of sharing. So there are several of you that share all the time. You're doing a bunch of Facebook stuff. You're posting comments or making longer posts rather, or you're doing videos. So for you, one step further might be a Facebook Live that you do, or it might be an Instagram Live if you haven't done that before. It might be going a little bit deeper into the sharing. Wherever you are, I want you to go one step further because you got to get out of your comfort zone to grow. For some of you on the other end of the spectrum, if you've never shared anything, share in our group because it's full of people that are on the same journey as you, even though we're at different places, they're on the same journey and they're supportive. And we're talking about the Entrepreneurial Training Facebook group. If you're not in that group, get in that group. What is that? bit.ly.com/etraining for coaches, I think.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat here.
So this is up to you. You know what one step further would be for you. Do that. And then finally, don't look at the feedback for 48 hours. Don't look at that post for 48 hours. If you got to manage your notifications, manage your notifications. Why? Because their feedback doesn't matter. I want you to take something that you haven't shared before, or at the very least, sharing it in a way that you haven't shared it before, and then be with your own internal feedback. For 48 hours, nobody else's feedback except yours. Even in this group, even if you posted in this group, no feedback. If that means you don't look on Facebook for 48 hours, great. Your life will be happier 48 hours later, probably anyway.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If that means you make sure you stay away from that post or that group or whatever, you get to manage that. But the assignment is share something, a lesson that you've learned from a significant life event in an area you haven't shared or in a way you haven't shared before. So you get out of the door of your comfort zone and then just be with your own feedback for 48 hours. This is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's been people that are sharing in our group, like the first video they've ever shared or certain stories they've, shared for the first time. And so we honor so much what you guys are doing and implementing. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you a few examples from my life, and then Michelle will give you a few from her life. Mine are going to be better. Should we do mine second then?
#challenge.
So let's ping pong back and forth, and then we'll put the poll up later about whose is better.
Okay.
So
I'll make it private so you don't get your feelings hurt.
Thank you for reducing my comfort level and making the wall turn into a speed bump, turn into a flat paved road.
I got you.
So one significant event in my life was my final baseball game in 1996. We lost the World Series in the national championship game. And I really learned what it means to be a winner and win. Even though we didn't win the game, I looked at the way I approached the game and the way I approached my whole career and changed the way I understand winning. What do you got?
Nice. So when I was in my junior year in high school, I was crowned Miss Burke County at a pageant, and inside of winning that pageant, I went to compete to go to Miss Georgia. And in that experience, that was way outside of my training and my comfort zone in every area, I learned that it's better to be rejected for being myself. Like, it's better for me to be rejected as someone I am than chosen as someone I'm not.
That's good. I was reliving this.
Their stories. Those are ESchool for Coaches stories.
Yes, there's a story of Michelle's Miss Burke County that will short circuit me more than Chad's comment did. Another incident for me is when I was hit by a car when I was 13 years old. Many people have heard that story. That was actually the first story I started to tell when I was a speaker. And I learned so much about life, and that we're never promised our next breath. And if we're not promised our next breath, then I want to put everything I can into this one. And I want to live a life of no regrets. And I think about that story and the lessons learned literally every single day. It happened 35 years ago. Every single day. That was the most transformational shift in my life.
Well, this next one is probably the first transformational shift in my life. I was very successful on the outside, inside of a direct sales business, and I was deeply unhappy inside, and I was struggling. I was struggling financially. I was working really, 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 really hard and not getting the results that I wanted. And I was on the floor in my bedroom, literally like face down. My laptop was in front of me. And we had just gotten notification that our lights were about to be turned off because we couldn't pay our bill. And that's when I reached out. I literally put my hand up and I reached out to Sean Smith. And inside of that decision, what I learned in that moment was just a recognition that what got me here to this point, to this place in my life, is not going to be what's going to get me out of it, right? That everything that I did and everything that I know is what brought me here to this moment. And if I want to go further, I've got to do something different, and I've got to bring in support, that I'm not supposed to do this journey on my own. And that lesson, that's completely changed the trajectory of my life.
Nice. So you guys can see that we're teaching the after the breakthrough lessons that we learned. And then we can speak to it with before the breakthrough language to get people's attention. But we've got to give people, it's like we're throwing the rope out to them with the lessons that we've learned and inviting them to learn their own version of that same lesson, or some lesson similar. So let's just do one more. A huge, massive, influential moment in my life is my dad's cancer diagnosis, which was over 11 years ago. He was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He passed away about 90 days later. Well, after the diagnosis, about 6 months later, but he lived with me for about 90 days. And one of the biggest lessons I learned through that is, while he was still alive, I would only cry when I imagined him being dead, when I imagined him not being at Christmas or not being at Thanksgiving. And so I just had this moment where I recognized I was creating my own misery because I had put him in the grave when he wasn't in the grave. And when I made the choice to stop experiencing his death while he was still alive, I was able to be present for all of his final days. And then I've applied that lesson to many areas in my life where I've stopped borrowing the misery from the future so I can be present in the now.
That's powerful. Inside of this work, one of the biggest transformational experiences that I had was at our 5-day live event, Elite Coaching Certification Program. It was in Atlanta. It was in 2017. And I used to have a vicious relationship with myself. I was in an abusive relationship for 41 years with the woman in the mirror. And through a lot of my personal development work, I had actually stopped a lot of the kind of self-abuse, like really mean language. But at that event, what I recognized is that just because I stopped the abuse, it didn't mean that I was actually nurturing myself. So that moment is where I learned that love, like true love, is not the same as not punishing. And in that moment, I shifted my perspective, healed my relationship with myself, and really began that journey of reconnecting with the most important relationship in my life, which is the one with me.
Good stuff. Great stuff. Thank you for sharing all of that, Michelle. And
Thank you.
you know, it's a process. Once upon a time, I really just had the one bicycle accident story. And then other stories that once I learned that I could tell stories and teach from the stories, then I had another story, and then I had another story, and same thing with Michelle. So this process is something that we just need to unlock and get going in motion. Don't think that you're going to immediately have all these stories you can easily teach from, because it might take a while for you. But first, we got to create a catalog of stories, and we got to learn how to take the lessons from these stories and share in the world. And one of the most important things about being distinct, one of the most important things about building a business and getting people's attention is distinction. Don't teach stuff that everybody's teaching. Teach something that people have never heard before. And the easiest way to do that is teach the lessons of your life. Nobody's ever heard those before.
Right.
I mean, you might have shared it around the campfire or something with, friends and family, but when you start sharing the stories of your life, you're going to give people an experience that they literally can't turn away from, because it's a unique experience. And the human brain actually has to pay attention to things it's never seen before. So one of the ways to do that is tell the stories that you've not told before, or tell the lessons from those stories in a way that you've not told them before.
Right.
And we've talked about this in many different analogies, whether it's the Golden Buddha analogy or, the protection and the layers and all that. But so much of this journey is simply your relationship with yourself. It's your relationship with your feedback that we dove into this call, your relationship with your past, your relationship with your inner child, your relationship with the reflection in the mirror. And again, in the spirit of simplification, it's better to work on a single relationship, which is you and you, than all the other things that are outside of you. And when you can tighten up and clean up and clear up that relationship with yourself, you can actually influence what is outside of you in a way that you never could before. So your influence expands by going in.
Yep.
Your influence decreases by going out. And that's just a part of this growth journey, especially for transformation, and even more especially for transformational coaches, if that's something that you're committed to. So I thought it might be fitting for me to read my letter to myself, just in the spirit of this call. Is there anything you want to add before I close with that?
No, thank you, everyone. I'm going to give you full screen because it's really powerful for that. Thank you for this conversation. And I look forward to seeing and hearing about everybody's experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. So this letter, December 17th, 1986 is when I had that 13-year-old car accident. I was riding my bike and I went to avoid a car coming on my right side who had pulled through the stop sign. And to avoid that car, I swerved left and I was in the bike lane. So swerving left put me in the slow lane. And a car went right through me doing about 50 miles an hour. I pulled out right in front of him. He had no chance to stop. And so I almost died that day. By the details, I should have died. Like, I don't know how I survived that. And so every year that date means something to me. And not this last one, but the one before, I decided, just kind of was inspired to write a letter to that little kid, because I made a promise to him when we were both 13 that I would never settle for a life of mediocrity. And I touch my relationship with that child, with that 13-year-old boy, every day. And sometimes I need it more than other times. And I need to remember the promises that I made to him, not the promises that I've made to myself last year and all the stuff that I want now. What promise did I make to him? And so I wrote this letter, and as many things do nowadays, it came out as a poem. And my dad used to call me Shawnee. Dear little Shawnee, you always had that look in your eye, like you were going places. You always watched people passing by, trying to read what's behind their faces. You always wanted to be the best at everything you did, but you always thought you were a pest, and that's why you often hid. I get it. You never wanted to be in anybody's way. I get it. You always wanted to know if everyone would stay. If they knew how tender your heart really is, would they listen to what you say? If they knew who you really truly are, would they love you anyway? These thoughts, young man, will always cause you so much pain and doubt. But these thoughts, young man, will also help you figure yourself out. And these thoughts, young Shawnee, will so often make you doubt that you're enough. But these thoughts, young Shawnee, will actually help you when times get dark and tough. I know you question if you measure up and whether you belong, but because you question everything, your mind will remain strong. So these questions, Shawnee, the same ones that cause you so much grief, are the questions, Shawnee, that will someday give the answers that you seek. Keep questioning, keep wondering, keep curiously exploring, keep doubting, keep worrying, keep constantly ignoring the temptation to stop the mental journey and hide inside your cave. Because a docked ship, you are not. You were built to ride the waves. It won't be quick. Some lessons take time and you'll have to keep your calm. It won't be easy. Some waves are big. Like that one you'll ride with mom. But from the tops of the highest waves, young man, is where your eyes can furthest see. And from the depths of the darkest waters, young man, is where you'll truly learn to be. Like in the middle of that slow lane of Alvarado Niles, broken legs, spinning mind. You crawled for what seemed miles. You saved my life that day. And the truth is, I don't know how you made it. You gave me life that day. It was my debt, but you paid it. So on this sacred day, young Shawnee, I celebrate your divinity. And on this sacred day, young Shawnee, I cease to be your enemy. I promised you on that hospital bed that I'll never leave. You remember? That I'd fight for every last goal you have. I think it's time that I remember. So please keep dreaming. Please keep screaming, because you see, I really need it. You remind me of our vision when life gets tough and I can't see it. Look me in the eyes, your eyes, so you can see that I really mean it. I'll keep seeking, I'll keep climbing, and I'll keep chasing if you dream it. I love you, Shawnee. Stay curious, young man. We love you guys. And we're here for you, and we want to know how you're experiencing any and all of this, what we can do to continue to support you. And we'll see you next week with more videos, because we're not done talking and we're not done teaching. Take care, everyone.